This is Automated Thought.
You know, things were a lot simpler back in 2004. I was a liberal who was voting for John Kerry, and I was against conservatives who were voting for Bush. We all know who we were, and the battle lines were pretty clearly drawn. These days, not as much. We're in the middle of a really weird realignment, and I'm not sure where I belong anymore. In the world of YouTube, a lot of the skeptics and free thinkers that I follow, they've slowly been lurching into alt-right territory. I'm talking about people like The Amazing Atheist, these guys who call themselves liberals. But hey, if your position last year was that you couldn't vote for Hillary Clinton and that it would be better to just let Trump win, then you're no liberal that I ever fucking heard of. Increasingly, I feel separated from the world of atheist neckbeards, even though myself, I have some neckbeard characteristics. You know, I love old action movies from the 80s. I don't play video games, but I used to. I love comic book movies. I love them so much. I don't smoke weed, but I used to. Most importantly, I don't have a beard on my neck. Like men on both sides of my family, we just don't have the beard gene. I can't even grow a proper mustache. Not that I'd really want to. So yeah, I say screw the neckbeards and all these alt-righters and Peppy the Frog fans and all the people who think that feminism is the biggest threat to the world. Screw you guys, I do not fit in with you. This whole neckbeard skeptic world, it started off as a bunch of liberals protesting the religious right, but now it's just basically an arms race to be the funniest, crudest, most offensive, the most off-the-wall person who spawns the most dank memes. There's money to be made. These people get audiences and they want to keep them. I get the feeling a lot of these guys didn't want to come out against Trump because they didn't want to be labeled as a cuck or a feminist or a sellout or someone who wasn't a complete edgelord all the time. If that's what you want to be, that's fine, but it's not going to get you any closer to the truth. But then, I don't really fit in with the other side either. I'm not a part of social justice, the alt-left, big feminism, whatever you want to call it. Politically, we're on the same side. I voted for Hillary in 2016, and I hope in 2020 I get to vote for Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris. Hell yeah. But there's still this vast, unbridgeable gulf between me and social justice. Just the other day, there's this podcast that I listen to sometimes called The Sauce. It's these two friends talking about movies and pop culture. It's pretty good. But then, one of them, on Twitter, I saw her say something about the movie Doctor Strange. I like the movie Doctor Strange. It's pretty good. I think my brother likes it more than I do. In general, as a household, we are big supporters of Mads Mikkelsen. We even saw that Michael Kohlhaas movie, even though, frankly, it was kind of a snooze. So anyway, this person, she's a feminist, she's a social justice warrior, and she said on Twitter that she has a problem with Doctor Strange. She said, I don't see how anyone could like this movie. And that's where my brain paused, and it said, wait, I already know the answer to this. The reason you don't like Doctor Strange is because he's another straight white male hero who goes into another culture and learns their ways, and he ends up learning how to do their magic better than they do, and he becomes the white savior. Also, they replaced the old Tibetan man with a white woman, which is bad, maybe? I'm not sure. But no, I was totally off. This person said that Doctor Strange was bad because it was ableist, that the injury of his hands is used for, quote, horror, and because at the end, Mordo cripples a character by taking away his magic and making him collapse. And I thought, wait, what? I would never in all my life have thought that anyone could ever think of that. I feel like I understand how conservatives think, but I don't understand how social justice thinks. I could watch Doctor Strange with all my friends and all my family, and we could watch it 10 times, and I don't think anyone would come up with an ableist critique of it. Even my aunt, who's in a wheelchair. We're just normal people. This is really standard heroic narrative stuff. The hero suffers a loss, he fights back, he wins in the end. The villains do bad things, and that's why we hate them. I mean, yes, in the world of the movie, we should be offended that Mordo takes away Jonathan Pangborn's ability to walk, because it's sickening and evil and pointless. But I would never think that somehow the filmmakers are being offensive by including this. They're making a villain bad. That's what they're supposed to do. I mean, this is just like in The Dark Knight Rises when Batman had his back broken. Was that offensive? That he had to learn to walk again? And I asked myself, Is this woman really saying that when someone is disabled, when they suffer a life-altering injury, that it's socially unacceptable to even admit that it's a problem? That we're supposed to just pretend everything is great, nothing has changed? I think that's insane. I'm a digital artist, and if I ever lost the use of my hands or my eyes, my life would be altered forever, and I would lose the thing I most love to do, just like Doctor Strange. If that happened, I would not want people to pretend that everything was hunky-dory and that there was no problem. I would be in pain, and I would want that pain to be acknowledged. In the movie, they could have cured his hands with magic, but they didn't. They made it clear that he could never be a neurosurgeon again, and that he had to go through this very painful struggle, reach rock bottom, and then climb his way out to become something else. That's not offensive or ableist. It's real. It's how life really is. It's how people operate. And this is the thing about social justice. If you're not part of it, you would never understand that critique. It's so over-specialized. You literally have to go to college and read books and train yourself to be offended at this sort of thing. And as we all know, in the world of social justice, the more things you find wrong with something, the more points you get. You don't win any respect from your fellow SJWs by sitting back and talking about how you love a movie or something. You're supposed to hate it. They condition themselves. Sometimes I don't even know if they're aware of this. Heck, my biggest complaint about Doctor Strange is that it's just kind of middle of the road and fairly typical. I wish it was more offensive. I wish it took more chances and had stranger, crueler villains and was even more shocking. Nearly every mainstream movie could benefit from being a little more out there, you know? Social justice warriors notice these things like, well, it kind of reminds me of my brother. Sometimes we'll be watching an action movie, and he'll point out something that's incorrect about how a motorcycle is used. He'll say, oh man, this is bullshit. A Ducati XL5R could never pull off that kind of stunt. And it doesn't sound like that either. You know, that should be like a Kawasaki Ninja 7L5. You know, something like that. But social justice warriors have just trained themselves to notice these things. And the thing I hate most of all is they don't say that it's just their opinion, that they personally find it offensive. They just say, no, it is offensive. It just is, and that there is no discussion around it. And you can't please these people, ever. The two women of the Sauce podcast, they liked the movie Wonder Woman. But then you go over to the Chapo Trap House podcast, and those people say that Wonder Woman is horrible and unwatchable because it upholds traditional standards of beauty, it promotes Zionism, and trivializes the victims of trench warfare. What the fuck? If your mental programming is such that you find something wrong with basically everything you see, that's not a good way to live. And the other 95% of humanity is just going to shrug and say, what? You didn't like Doctor Strange? Why? You didn't like Wonder Woman because of what now? And I wanted to show you the actual tweets from this woman and my responses to her, but I can't. I went back to look for them, and she blocked me. She blocked me in the same way that social justice warriors always block me online. I couldn't even believe it because we had maybe 3 exchanges. They were all civil. I didn't insult her or use any profanity. I wasn't being offensive. I just said that I disagreed with her, and I gave her the reasons why. And boom, she blocked me. Don't want to hear you, just screw you. Blocked. Blocked automatically. But I'm a fan of the Sauce podcast. I'm a listener. But I'll be honest, I'm not offended or butthurt or anything, but it does make me a little less likely to listen to their next episode. Because why would I want to listen to someone who has no interest in listening to me, even if it's just 3 small tweets? That's how that works. Oh my god, you know, I think I have the topic for my next video. Stay tuned on Automated Thought for
Sargon of Akkad versus Metafilter.
It's gonna be a humdinger, y'all.
The others, no, it will not be. On opposite sides by the left, aka progressives, aka social justice warriors, all of whom are direct descendants of American cultural Marxists, and post-movement can basically boil down to this: taking from one and giving to another cultural war waged over decades. Now, roadblock to the statist movement. Now, campus and becomes so painfully clear. Socialist Society, Frankfurt School, and individuals like Antonio Gramsci and Authority. And, well, they largely succeeded. I mean, an ever-expanding state. One that divided society into the oppressors and the oppressed. And look no further than gender, race, colonial, and privilege. Better. It just made them broke and broken. The hand of political correctness, all of it sucks. Authority when their guys aren't in power. They even reject decisions made by the democratic system. They're joining groups like Antifa, where protest is code for riot. As the left loses its monopoly on politics and culture, 60 million Americans who voted for President Donald J. Trump loses its monopoly on politics, love, or ability for free speech. The cultural Marxist and postmodernist culture ever offered them an alternative. And when faced with their new reality and zero tools and how to express themselves, well, they lash out. When human beings power their opponents' views and may see, millennials are more passionate, even lived under your stupid rules, your executive orders, and we were suffocated under your culture of relativism, of globalism, and subversion for 8 damn years. It's your turn now. The radicalization on both sides, including professors and TV anchors and politicians, right, was composed of young men, broken. So now campus and becomes so painfully clear. Relativism and divide and conquer by designing an enemy. Step 2, make the masses believe they're victims. And step 3, provide the people with how far will they push each other and what will be the result? Yes, wars were won. I know it sounds weird, maybe a little bit dramatic, but stick with me. Our military wasn't composed of professors and TV anchors and politicians, right? These protests and rallies and just a lot of navel gazing. Even if more polarized about politics, they're punching literally Hitler and the other. Millennials on the right are growing tired of the left's undemocratic and childish, if not culture. Amid a right-leaning revolution, well, the left are resorting to way more desperate tools to get their way, specific of the bias. Not every revolution requires their own worldview. Society into the oppressors and the oppressed, attack on traditional sources of moral authority. There's a new generation of young men who believe in their causes with every single cell of their beings. The only question is, how far will they push each other, and what will be the result?
That happened right here, to your neighbors. It is not too much to say that in your hands lies the possibility of averting other tragedies like it. We must work untiringly so that our children are obliged to learn the truth, because it is only through knowledge that we can safely protect them. Failing this, the next tragedy may be that of your daughter, or your son, or yours, or yours, or yours.